Hello there, I am Sophie Katon, a University of Colorado Boulder student in the College of Media, Communication, and Information. Welcome to my podcast, and today's topic is politics. With the 2016 presidential election less than a year away, political discussions have been on the rise, but what often isn't talked about is voter turnout numbers. The Heat talk show, followed by the David Pakman show, are some of the few places that have talked about these low voter turnout numbers.
Regardless of who's bankrolling America's political campaigns, the United States is seen as the hallmark of democracy by many people worldwide. But most Americans choose not to take advantage of their political rights. The United States has the second lowest voter turnout rate among the world's developed nations.
We saw, according to the Elect Project, a record low turnout dating back to 1940.
Voter turnout rates continue to drop to all-time lows, with 18 to 24-year-olds making up the smallest percentage of these votes. Senator Bernie Sanders says,
and it gets to the question as to the nature of American democracy today. In the last election, 63% of the American people didn't vote. 80% of young people didn't vote. 80% of low-income workers didn't vote.
But why the low turnout? Millennials, or those born roughly between the years of 1980 and 1995, have received harsh criticism of their low turnout numbers. Joel Stein of Time magazine called millennials lazy, selfish, and politically uninvolved, which he attributed to their self-absorption. But millennials argue otherwise. Jennifer Thompson, a freshman at the University of Colorado Boulder, presented her reasoning as to why not as many people voted in the recent elections.
I think the low turnover rate, especially in the midterm election, is very upsetting, and I believe that more people should care, but also I understand because I'm one of the people here in America who has to balance having a job, having a social life, and going to school full-time, which it can be very hard and stressful, so it makes sense that turnout rate would be low, especially because I've heard in the past that people, when they go to vote, have to stand in long lines, and it could take anywhere upwards of 1 or 2 hours, if not longer.
Karen Williams, another CU Boulder student, offers her thoughts on why some young people may not even register to vote in the first place.
I think that a big reason that a lot of people, especially probably people that are our age, wouldn't register to vote is because they might not know how, or they might not think that it's important. They might not really understand that their vote does kind of matter. And a lot of people just aren't really interested in politics.
These low numbers aren't just numbers. They represent something. They represent the polarization of politics. Are you concerned about the low voter turnout?
Yeah, because let's say like a bunch of people get together and they're all Republicans or whatever, everything's not fairly represented, I'd say, if there's such a low turnout.
The fewer people vote, the more polarized politics become. Some opinions become better heard than others, and issues that politicians discuss become more limited.
You're not really getting like the fair percentage. You're only really getting information from the people that are like super strongly opinionated about one idea or another idea, so it really skews the vote. And I don't think that it really shows like how the general population is feeling. It's
clear that these numbers need to increase if people want to be more equally represented. The best way to do this is to lower the cost of voting, as pointed out by Paul Stinkgeist, a political science major at Stanford. Cost in this case doesn't refer to monetary value, though in some cases I guess it could, but more so time and energy. People need to feel that voting is worth their time, which can be done by educating people about the importance of voting and minimizing voting time.
Put stuff more in layman's terms, so like the average Joe can like listen to it and understand it, but also have some kind of hook where like, oh, if you care about this, like you should listen. Mail-in ballots or a thing, but maybe something really quickly online, because people today are so into their computers, electronics, and phones and stuff. It takes like a minute to vote.
I think something that you could do to make people register to vote is to make it really matter to them and make it easy for them to access voting. So maybe having like different stations like on CU, like around campus, like here you can sign up for register to vote here. I think there was something at the UMC a while ago that I saw that had that.
So if you haven't registered yet, go register. And if you have registered, make sure you cast your vote, and not just at presidential elections. Thank you for listening to this podcast. For further information, please feel free to check out websites such as fairvote.org and rockthevote.com. This is Sophie Katon here at CU Boulder College of Media, Communication, and Information signing off.